Well, yesterday was one of the bigger days when it comes to U.S. politics. You had the seismic Vladimir Putin, Tucker Carlson interview dropping at 6 o'clock Eastern time. And then you had a bunch of stuff with Biden, with a press conference, the way they're coordinating it to make sure Biden, whenever he does a public statement, it's always right next to huge news. And about an hour before the Tucker Carlson interview dropped, it had been known that Tucker was going to release the interview at 6 o'clock Eastern. And obviously, we can tell they coordinated the release of this news. Take a look at this when it comes to possibly charging Joe Biden. In his interview with our office, Mr. Biden's memory was worse. He did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended, and forgetting on the second day of the interview when his term began. He did not remember, even within several years, when his son Beau died, and his memory appeared hazy when describing the Afghanistan debate that was once so important to him. So they are basically saying that they're not going to charge Biden. He's too old. He's senile. He doesn't remember anything. And it's funny because Biden comes in and does his little press conference or whatever where he delivers remarks. You can see here it is right here. But by the way, you want to talk about the purest form of internet censorship? Just take a look at this screenshot. Well, first, take a look at this. The Tucker Carlson versus Biden. And the Biden thing has gotten more views. You know, it's gotten 100K views, whatever. But just Tucker Carlson releasing 30 million views. At this point, I think it's well over 100 million views. And Biden delivering his remarks. It just goes to show you the change of guard we've seen with independent media. And I'm going to talk about the Vladimir Putin Tucker interview in a second. I want to give that its own few minutes. But first with Biden, again, like the whole idea of it being coordinated. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Biden, his one time in a month is meeting, and giving remarks during the biggest interview we've had in recent memory, the most hyped interview. It's a coincidence. We're not trying to slide it under the rug. And it's funny because you look at this screenshot. The White House, 2 million subscribers. Take a look at this, 183K views. I screenshotted this about an hour ago. 1.2K likes. They removed the dislikes specifically because of this administration. It's not because of YouTubers' mental health. That's ridiculous. The idea that you're not going to be able to see dislikes, it hurts the viewing experience, because if you're on YouTube to try and find good content and you click on a video that has a ton of dislikes, obviously you're not going to stay and watch that content. It's ridiculous. The only reason they removed dislikes is because Biden, the administration, their videos were getting mass disliked to the point where it was about a 7% like rate. And this video, which, I mean, you can put in an extension and see what the like rate is. With 183K views, I would imagine this video probably has about 14,000 dislikes. So that would be a like rate of about 8 or 9% for Biden. And then, of course, during it, where Biden is trying to argue, the Fox reporter questions Biden, says, they're saying you're not being charged because you're mentally incompetent. That's the reason you're getting off. What do you have to say for yourself? And I was watching it last night during my live stream, and it's just such a charade. The one word to describe it, we are the most powerful country in the world. When you listen to this dude talk, even the first few words that come out of his mouth, I wouldn't trust this dude running a 7th grade lunchroom, let alone what we've got going on here. So it's the whole thing, and I understand Democrats are going to say, well, I don't like Biden, but I'm forced to vote for him because Trump's a fascist and Trump is terrible. And, that's going to be their thing. It's not like Democrats are necessarily supporting Biden, but it's just such a charade. The guy can barely talk. This is so stupid. And he's mumbling, I'm mentally competent. He messes up 5 things, even during a short, press conference. It's just so ridiculous. And it is funny how they coordinated the timing of him going out and actually taking questions from people during the massive drop of Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin. So now people are speculating. You can see Vivek coming out saying they're going to be putting in Michelle Obama. This is something that I've talked about for a few weeks. We noticed the uptick in terms of betting on Michelle Obama being the Democratic nominee. And if you are the Democrats and you just compare Biden to Michelle Obama, even with Biden having the incumbent advantage, certainly Michelle Obama would very likely have a better chance to win a general election than Joe Biden at this point. The question is, what is the political strategy in terms of removing Biden? When is the perfect time to do it to where the person that replaces Biden, which I would expect can really only be Michelle Obama because of Kamala Harris, they're not going to have Gavin Newsom, a white man, jump Kamala Harris, a minority female who's currently the VP, but there's no way that Kamala Harris can step in for Biden because she's even more disliked than Biden. Biden's approval rating sitting about -15 in terms of likability. Kamala Harris is at -19, and Kamala Harris would fall even further if she became the president because when you step into the spotlight, you get more criticism. So overall, that entire thing is a complete mess, and you do have to wonder if they are going to stick with Biden. How will his debates actually be with Trump? Now, I'll be honest, I was surprised at how well Biden handled himself during the State of the Union, but that was a while ago at this point. With the way Biden is talking now, even with them hopping him up on a bunch of drugs and pills, he's going to really struggle to even get words out during a debate. That's why they might have to just be forced to remove him. And then, of course, you've got Reddit doing their victory lap. Fox reporter, how bad is your memory? My memory is so bad I let you speak. Oh my goodness. And by the way, I love that mentality from Biden. Because someone questions Joe Biden, he gets all cranky. Heaven forbid, the most disliked president in U.S. history. And yes, that is a statistic. If you look at approval rating, he is worse than Trump by about 4 points. But no. You can't question him. He's only the most unlikable president. How dare you, you evil Fox reporter. You don't ask me bad questions. But I do want to say, I was doing a live stream last night. I want to shout this out. Join my Discord. There's political stuff on there. There's political channels. Make sure you're joining my Discord. Link to that is in the description. Moving on to the Tucker Carlson huge interview with Vladimir Putin that came out. You can see Vladimir Putin to Tucker Carlson. We are thousands of miles away. You have issues on your border, issues with migration, issues with national debt. You have nothing better to do than fight in Ukraine. So Vladimir Putin, it seems like, a big takeaway in this, he doesn't want total war. He doesn't want World War III. It is so important. It's so critical that we get everyone talking. When you stop talking, that's when really bad things happen. So that's why this whole Democrat, boy who cried wolf thing where they're like, how dare Tucker Carlson interview someone like Putin? It's just so ridiculous. Do you not read up on history? When people stop talking, when people stop communicating with each other, that's when really bad things happen. So Vladimir Putin, even getting him to come out, even if you think that Tucker Carlson is pro-Russia, it's important to get Putin talking about possibly a peace deal. The transparency is what we need with these world leaders, especially someone like Putin who's on the other side of the world from us here in the United States. So Putin comes out, says he's open to a peace deal, but it's very obvious. You can tell that Putin wants land in Ukraine. And the problem is the appeasement factor. Now, just as a microcosm, the idea of Putin taking the most eastern parts of Ukraine that are mainly Russian-speaking anyways, that's not a big issue for me personally. The issue is if you appease him, he's going to want more and more and more and more. That's why this is such a hard thing to do. Now, you could just say, make it easy, and, the Republican talking point is just stop funding him. Just stay out of it completely, which is understandable, but this is a situation where NATO is helping out Ukraine. Obviously, Putin is making the point for about the first 30 minutes. You could tell he went in there with a strategy. He wanted people to understand the perspective of the Russian people, why they're doing this, the fact that dating back in history, giving like a 30-minute history lesson on the history of Russia and the land that they occupied and owned, and saying that this is rightfully our land, we're trying to take it back. We didn't think NATO was going to expand this much. They said they were not going to. They did, and they have forced us. That's what he's trying to say. They have forced us, but the key takeaway, he doesn't want World War III. There was questions, does he have cancer, things like that. Would he do something crazy? It doesn't seem like that is going to happen based off of these remarks. So this is an amazing interview by Tucker Carlson, even getting Putin on the record. I mean, there were people trying to argue that Tucker Carlson shouldn't be allowed back into the United States. Like, at what point does it get tiring to do all this stuff? Hillary Clinton coming out and saying that, like, I just don't care anymore what Hillary Clinton says. I'm sorry. But moving on, this is just, listen, Nikki Haley, the disingenuous campaign. I don't know if anyone saw Nevada during their primary, because Trump wasn't on the ballot. I don't know if it was a primary or a caucus, whatever it was. Nikki Haley lost to any other choice, or none of these candidates, whatever it was, none of these candidates won. They got like 60% of the vote over Nikki Haley. And these polls are just completely, it's a total blowout. And it's so obvious that Nikki Haley is just trying to gather her, her few little second place delegates she's going to get. And maybe she can weasel her way, possibly if something happens to Trump in terms of his legal situation, and be the Republican nominee. It's interesting because there is still dialogue about Nikki Haley being Trump's VP, which seems unlikely, but if you look at the betting odds, she's at like second or third place right now, and there are a lot of people saying that it might happen. Nikki Haley and Trump coming together. I still think probably not, but you never know when it comes to politics. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.